Hello, welcome to White Birch Tarot and Astrology. I apologize for my voice. It was fine 5 minutes ago. This is the fourth time I've tried to post and I can't talk, so I feel like something's trying to keep me from doing the reading, which doesn't make any sense at all. But anyway, this reading is for, we'll say, January 26th through the 28th. And I'm planning to post again because we have a new moon on the 29th at 10 degrees of Aquarius. And a whole bunch of stuff is happening between now and February 4th. There's like 7 astrological things. Some of them are just hugely major. And I want to point out a couple of them, and then I'm going to read a brief poem that I found somewhere that I think is really pretty. So tonight, when I was shuffling the cards, and they are really challenging tonight. I actually drew them last night, and then I didn't feel well, so they're tough though. Anyway, when I was shuffling the cards, I was thinking about this. This is Saturn in Pisces at 16 degrees, and he is making a semi-square, which is 45 degrees, to Pluto in Aquarius at 1 degree. And I thought this was really important. Even a semi-square is half a square. And squares are really tense energy. So there's kind of a jockeying for position and power between Saturn, who rules material reality and likes to keep things stable and doesn't like change. But he's in Pisces, where he's a little bit disabled because, he's in the ocean and he doesn't particularly like that. So he's already kind of testy. And then, if planets can be testy. And then, Pluto is in Aquarius, just moved, 1 degree is all. Pluto moves very slowly. And Aquarius is change and progressive thinking and new ideas and astrology and the collective consciousness. So there's kind of a battle going on between these two. Saturn is more to stick with tradition, the way things have always been. And again, he's feeling a little irritable because he's trying to control, he can't control the ocean. And also it's very karmic. And we have the ruler of Pisces, Neptune, also in Pisces. And then here comes Pluto, who is in the sign where the new moon is going to be. And Mercury moves into, is that correct? Let me check. Yeah, Mercury moves into Aquarius, excuse me, on the same day as the new moon on the 29th. So, and there's something that, well, I'll get to the poem later. There's something that I haven't talked about because, okay, in astrology, and this is the reason why I'm not a professional astrologer, because I don't like the details. Which are like the orbits and like learning the actual astronomical stuff that goes on, which I find very challenging because I'm spatially challenged. And I'm also challenged by time, which just dawned on me that's space-time, which is actually material reality. Okay, no wonder. Anyway, I prefer intuition and imagination over the cold, hard details. But anyway, here's what I wanted to tell you is that the north and south nodes, which are extremely important, and what they are is they are not things, they're not objects, they are orbits. It's like, I think the north node is where the moon is closest to the earth, or vice versa, and the south node is where it's farthest away, or vice versa. I always forget. See, that's why I don't want to be a professional astrologer, because you have to know that kind of stuff, and I'm not interested. I just want to know what they mean. So they're getting ready to change, because if you'll notice, they're both at 0 degrees. And the nodes, even though they're not things, see, this is what I don't understand. They're orbits, and yet they move backwards. Yeah, how do orbits move? See, I can't explain that to you. So, but I do know that these are very important points. And the north node in your chart, and in the collective chart, which right now the north node is at 0 degrees Aries, and as I said, the nodes always go backwards, retrograde. So this north node, which is where we're supposed to be moving toward, has been moving through self-identity. In Aries, it's getting ready to move back into Pisces, which again is a very karmic placement, and puts us in touch with karma and imagination and, you know, our dreams. What do we really want to move toward? What do we want to do with the rest? What do you want to do with the rest of your life is going to be very important. And I mean, it only stays in Pisces for 1.5 years, but that's pretty long. And then the South Node, which is what we're supposed to be moving away from, what we're more familiar with in this lifetime. And again, that's more apparent, like in your chart, whatever sign the North Node and South Node are found in, they're always opposite each other. That will tell you for your personal self. But right now, for the collective, the North Node is getting ready to move into Pisces. And when does that happen? I wrote it down. Oh, it happens the day after the new moon, the 30th of January. So interesting. So we have a new moon on the 29th. The next day, the nodes they both switch signs, and the North Node goes into Pisces, and the South Node, which is kind of what we're trying to let go of and move away from, moves from Libra into Virgo. So there's going to be the opposite between like emotion and imagination, and even to some extent spirituality, versus the body. And I believe that opposites are always the two sides of the same coin. So, you know, we're moving toward the spiritual, but we have to include the body. Even though I just said we try to move away from the material, or, you know, wherever the South Nodes, I knew I was going to, I'm sorry, I'm just having challenging energy in my chart. It's just really something. But I will talk more. How about if I just talk more about the nodes when they happen? Let's do that. But I just wanted to point out that I use something called the mean nodes. Okay, I'm getting all geeky here, doesn't matter. That's the average, because what the nodes do is they go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth like that. And so starting on January 12th, they've already dipped into the new sign. And some people use that. I don't. I use the mean, which is the average, because that way they don't go, they move, you know, they move and they stay. And again, it's not really a concept, because it is an astronomy thing, but astrology is weird. It's a combination of astronomy, which is a science, and astrology, which is an art, which is man-made. And so it's this weird juxtaposition of what's really happening and what was man-made. So anyway, so I focused when I did the cards. I felt like there was a controlling, uncomfortable energy between Pluto, the god of the underworld, who wants to destroy what's not working and transform everything, and Saturn, who was trying to cling on tightly to some kind of control in Pisces, where he's not comfortable. He rules Capricorn, Pluto rules Scorpio. Okay? So, and it's interesting to me too, we've got these houses here, which are at the very end, tail end of the zodiac, with planets, and then the beginning of the zodiac. And the middle, there's nothing there except Black Moon, Lilith, and the South Nodes. And the moon moves so quickly, it's like, you know, it's already in Capricorn, so, and Mercury's getting ready to move into Aquarius. Anyway, I'm probably just boring everybody with this. I just wanted to, I will do more. There's just a bunch of stuff happening, but I wanted to mention the nodes because some people have been talking about it online, and I thought to myself, no, they haven't moved yet. And then I thought, oh yeah, it's because I used the average. So now that I've blabbed for almost 10 minutes on the astrology, I want to read this one poem. It doesn't have a title, but the author's name is Jane Hirschfield. I can't remember where I found it. It goes like this, and pardon my voice. I swear to God it wasn't like this until I turned on the camera. I don't know what causes that. I guess I'm allergic to cameras. Anyway, she said, tenderness does not choose its own uses. It goes out to everything equally, circling rabbit and hawk. Look, in the iron bucket, a single nail, a single ruby, all the heavens and hells. They rattle in the heart and make one sound. Yeah. That's beautiful, I think. And that's kind of what, like that last reading I did about the paradoxes, it seems to me like there's been a lot of paradoxical energy going on, you know, where it's like you're like, just, I don't know, everything feels topsy-turvy. So I drew these cards last night, and I puzzled over them, and then when I sat down tonight, I thought, oh, you know, it'll come to me. Well, I don't know. We'll see. They're very challenging. This is the Mythic Tarot by Liz Green, and I think Juliet Sharman Burke. I hope. Okay. They're a little bit tall, so they're kind of hard to get in there. So we start out with the Ten of Swords. And this is where your mind is overloaded, and mine certainly has been. And it's also where you have to give up thinking about a certain problem, a certain situation, because logic is not going to get you there. And you have to realize that. It just plain isn't. And you know, in this semi-square between Pluto and Saturn that I was talking about, there's a feeling of powerlessness when the, I always get interpersonal, let's see, Saturn's interpersonal, Saturn and Jupiter, I think, and Pluto's considered transpersonal or an outer planet. So when the outer planets, and that's including the interpersonal, when they're, you know, doing their thing and interacting with each other, we can feel a little bit out of control because the energy is bigger than we are. But if it's, you know, affecting your chart, then you're going to be feeling it. So anyway, this is something that you're not going to figure out logically. That is not the answer to whatever you're facing right now. I should have done a cross of truth because the energy's so wonky. I will on the new moon, I think. Actually, there's a new spread I want to try that Dog Star Tarot turned me on to. Then we get the Four of Pentacles. Okay, this is Saturn, because this is Sun in Capricorn. This is Saturn trying to hang on to some form of structure, order, control. This is feeling like you can't think your way out of this, and yet you feel like the ground is shifting under your feet, because it is. Not literally, but in a way it is, with all this stuff changing, signs and the nodes changing and everything. So you might be feeling a little bit insecure. So he's grasping onto his tentacles as tight as he can, which, you know, sometimes that can prevent you from moving ahead. You can feel a little insecure. Then we get a card of upset, the Five of Wands. And this is, I think this is us struggling with material reality right now. You might feel like that's why he's hanging on to the Pentacles so desperately, because he feels challenged. And I think we all feel challenged right now on a global level and on a personal level, because everything's changing. And, you know, I was looking online about the age of Aquarius, because when I was a teenager, people were talking about that. And they said, everyone said, oh yeah, it's coming in the 60s and 70s. And so I looked it up online. There's no agreement as to when it actually starts, but I won't go into, I was going to give you the geeky details of what that even means, but I'll do that some other time because it's too much. But it's more of a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's kind of already starting. So this is us trying to gain control over material reality and feeling very challenged in the process, like things are out of our control, because in a sense, some of them are. And then I drew the King of Wands. And this is about having control. But it's not, wands are fire, they're spiritual, and they're physical. Just as, and you know, it's so interesting that we have so much in Pisces right now. We have Saturn, we have Venus, we have Neptune, and then the nodes are good. The North Node's going to move into Pisces, and it kind of already is jiggling back and forth. Because that is, I just lost my train of thought. It's karma. It's the last sign of the zodiac. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Pisces is the sign of the two fish, you know, the dark fish and the light fish. One is moving up and one is moving down. And that's really interesting because with the nodes in Pisces and Virgo, we not only have a literal sign that has two fish, we have Virgo rules the body and health and the gut, and Pisces rules the feet. And where am I going with this? It's like spirituality versus the physical, and yet they're the same thing because they're a reflection of each other. So this is about, Wands is about the physical and the spiritual when they meet, when you realize that they're one, and then you can have dominion over both of them. Does that make any sense? And also, I'm going to say something, but I'm going to show you the rest of the cards first. He comes in again. The second row, and I wasn't thinking about relationships. Whoop, I left my turtle here. How many times do you say I left my turtle here? Okay, then we get Justice. And I'm thinking, okay, this is about balance. But in this deck, this is Athena with the owl. She's the goddess of wisdom. This is about trying to find a mental balance. It's like, how do we mentally process what's going on right now when it's so massive and a lot of it is out of our control? And again, we have to give up trying to mentally control or figure it out, because that's not the way to do it. That's not the way to do it. But you have to find a mental equilibrium so that you don't get mentally overwhelmed and just drop over from the strain of it. So there is a way to find a balance in your mind. I'll come back to that. Seven of Pentacles. This is about, again, these two go together, I think. Justice is about weighing things mentally. So you take a look at what you've achieved on the physical level. And you say, so this is what I've created in my earthly world. Is this worth pursuing, or should I change course? That's what the Seven of Pentacles is about. Yeah, and you know, Pluto is the god of the underworld, and I was thinking about Pluto bumping up against, when I say bumping up, it's 45 degrees, a semi-square with Saturn, physical reality. So the god of the underworld, who also rules our personal subconscious, is bumping up against reality. And I think that's what this is. It's like saying, okay, I have to consider this, but it's not really going to make logical sense. It's going to make sense on a more spiritual level and also in my body itself. Because then we get the Queen of Pentacles. And she's all about taking care of, that's Taurus. She's all about taking care of the physical body and valuing what we have on an earthly level and taking care of it. And that's so interesting that the South Node is moving into Virgo, because that's what Virgo's all about. Virgo is about, it rules the 6th sign, so it rules the 6th house, and it's all about taking care of the physical because you know that it's also the spiritual. Anyway, so she's telling us you can't balance anything unless you take care of the physical. That's very important at this time. Your health, just everything about your body and the physical, your physical environment. You need to be very wary of it and take care of it and value it. And then we get the Queen and the King of Pentacles, which is just driving the point home further. He's a little bit different because he's about, how does Liz put it in her? Because she puts everything so beautifully. I mean, I know what he is, but I just want to see what she calls it. Time to take up the challenge of worldly things. You may meet a catalyst, but you need to find the qualities within. Yes. This is you finding your own like it's like digging inside yourself to find the streak of gold ore that lies, you know, deep inside. It's there. And he's more about Aries energy because he's got the ram and she's got the bull. And as I said, we've got, you know, we've got some stuff in Aries and Taurus right now. Uranus is in Taurus. Chiron has been in Aries for ages. And the North nodes are just moving out of Aries. So the first two signs of the zodiac are very important. So this is about finding your solidity, your security within, because right now you're not going to find it without. Is that a hair on the card? Oh, for Pete's sake. Yeah. And the reason that okay, so I thought this was interesting because these cards kind of go up and down too, because we've got two kings. We have the King of Wands and we have the King of Pentacles. And if you will notice, we do not have any cups in this reading. This is not about emotion at this time. And the only swords that we get thinking is the 10, which is like, nope, done thinking about it. Not going to work. You have come to a dead end with your thoughts. So it's about spirit and body. And not thinking, not emotion, because those are probably going to be kind of wonky at this time. Okay. Then I asked, and so again, this is the balance. I said I was going to come back to this. The balance needs to be, yeah, kind of in a mental way, but more in a physical and a spiritual way. Then I asked, what are we not seeing? And I drew the Magician. So we only have two major arcana, Justice and the Magician. And to me, this means that we're not seeing where we have control and where we don't have control. It's difficult to know right now because as humans, we're used to trying to control things, I think, with our brains. Our society and our cultures, at least in this country, are so intellectually oriented. And I say that knowing that there's a lot of stupidity in this country. So when I say intellectual, I don't mean we're all brilliant over here. I just mean that, you know, the mind and the technology and all that, oh, that's going to save us. And we throw out the body. We don't care about the earth. Well, I do, but, and so do a lot of people here, but the powers that be don't. So anyway, this is about not knowing how to manifest. This is that struggle with material reality that the Five of Wands represents, and that Saturn is so desperately trying to grasp onto in this uncomfortable aspect with Pluto, who wants to demolish what isn't working. And Saturn's like, no, I want to save everything. I want tradition. I want it to stay the way that it's always been. And Pluto's saying, nope, this is the age of Aquarius. We're gonna move. And the other shadow card I drew is the Ace of Swords, which again is mental clarity. You're not going to be able to think your way through this. And maybe not for a while, because we have the nodes changing. And I just think that, you know, I mean, you always need to use logic. You always need to use logic. But it's not going to save us. You know that line from White Rabbit from Jefferson Airplane just popped into my head. Logic and proportion have fallen sloppy dead. And the White Knight is talking backwards and the Red Queen's off with her head. Remember what the Dormouse said. Feed your head. Okay, feed it, but don't let it rule you. Anyway, just be glad I didn't sing it. You're not going to have mental clarity right now. I don't know how long that's going to last. As I said, Mercury moves into Aquarius the day after or is that the same day? Yeah, it is the same day as the new moon on the 29th. Oh, goodness. So the moon, okay, the moon's at 10 degrees and Mercury will be at 0. So they're not exactly conjunct. That's pretty far, 10 degrees. They're close though. Anyway, let me draw. I couldn't decide whether to draw an oracle card or should I mess this up with a fairy card. Let's mess this up with a fairy card because Things are so bizarre right now. Do you feel it? Oh, this one wants to come out. Just leave me a comment. Not yet. I'm not done. Okay. You know, this looks very much like the card called the Question, which I keep expecting to get. We're going to get it one of these days. But this is the leaving. Let me grab the book real quick. Because they put it better. I just want to make sure I don't miss something. I think this is telling us, though, that this is a major, we're at a major transition point. And I think you can tell that, probably in your own life and in looking around. Moving forward, ordered directions. Everything you do, every new endeavor means leaving something behind. Yes. Ten of Swords, it's over. This can be a place, a person, or even a state of mind. You can't move forward without leaving some of what you were behind you. This is growth. That's Pluto wanting to, transform. It's important to acknowledge the leaving of things as you begin your journey. When you leave your house to go on a journey, be it long or short, it is a normal thing to tidy up a bit before going. Putting things in their proper places, blah, 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 is a way of ordering your mind and preparing it to go on the next step. That's interesting, okay? Ordering your mind, so letting go of your old way of thinking. And yet, you know what? Maybe the Ace of Swords as a shadow card isn't telling us that we don't know what we're thinking. Maybe we're not seeing the new way of thinking yet, but we're going to. Okay, that puts it in more perspective. Okay, so putting things in their proper places is a way of ordering your mind and preparing it to go on to the next step. When you journey psychologically, spiritually, or metaphysically, wands, fire, you will also do well to leave your thoughts in order before you depart on that first step. Just as you would not venture into unknown territory without a map, you would be wise to ask for directions before you leave. In a reading, this may mean taking another card to guide you on those first steps. Okay, should I? Well, it just told me to take another card, so I'm going to. I know this is getting long, but I'll try to keep I'm going to post on the new moon, and there's so much going on. I apologize for my voice. It really, well, now the card doesn't want to come out, so maybe that was it. Well, now 3 want to, no, we're not going to do that. We'll get the Sorcerer, which is very close to the Magician, except that he's tricky. Things are tricky right now. Things are very tricky right now. I'm going to read the keywords. I won't read the whole page because I know I'm going on, but I just want to read you the keywords. Interesting help, true magic, and consequences. Okay. If you meet him, okay, let's see. Think carefully before you ask him for anything. His help could have interesting consequences in the future. If you meet him, it may be best to, I can't talk tonight. It may be best to nod respectfully and pass on. On the other hand, when he turns up, you may know exactly what you need to ask for. This says just be prepared for consequences. I'm not sure that card was meant to come out. But maybe it was. I don't know. I'm telling you, this energy is really strange right now. So I will post again for the new moon. Again, it's at 10 degrees of Aquarius on the 29th. So please leave me a comment. Let me know how this energy is treating you. It's wiping me out. It's so strange. Do you feel it? Do you feel like a buzzing in the air? I have for quite a while. Anyway, please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. And I will talk to you later. Thanks for putting up with me tonight. Blessings. Good night.